Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, can you hear me well? This is so cozy. How are you doing, Elke?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm glad you removed that really large picture of myself under myself.
Yeah, the pictures were great. Thank you guys for choosing those pictures. I'm so honored to be here with you today with Elke Karskens, who works for Coinbase, one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world, as the country director for Benelux. So countries like Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg, and the Nordics at Coinbase. You have an extensive background of helping scale up some of the most innovative companies like Facebook. Would you like to tell us a bit more about your journey?
Of course. No, and I mean, super excited to be here as well. Yeah, thank you for having me, Zulu Live. So Elke Karskens, born and raised in the Netherlands. And as you said, like I currently am at Coinbase and I look after the Nordics and the Benelux as the country director, so very much responsible for the retail side of the business. So not too many questions on the institutional side, but very much in a more of a general management function. And I've spent my entire career in tech. And we were talking about this a little bit behind stage already as well, is because I am not a degen. I'm relatively new to this space. But I've been incredibly fortunate at my career to have been at the forefront of disruptive technologies. And that started more than 20 years ago now at a company called TomTom. I think anybody that is probably born in the 90s does not know what that means or is. But it's a portable navigation device, which was truly revolutionizing back then. And people, how they got from A to B. Back then, before you started going on a trip somewhere, people would literally have physical maps and then map out, how do I get to France, and then write down notes and then get there. And then this device came out. And it fundamentally changed how people, as I said, got from A to B. And the energy around that, seeing the power that technology can have, I mean, I was instantly hooked. From there on, I went to Skype at the forefront really of how people communicate with each other and changing that. We're so accustomed now to video calling being like a common thing, but again, back then, that wasn't as common. You had to set money aside to call people who weren't living in the same country, and all of a sudden with Skype, for free, you were able to see each other. It was absolutely incredible. I then moved over to Facebook, where I spent about 12 years. Very long time, to say the least. But it was very much at Facebook where I was introduced to crypto for the first time. Facebook had the intention of launching their own stablecoin called Libra. This was in 2017. And it was the first time that I learned that crypto can be more than just an investment tactic. Crypto I had always associated with screaming guys in gaming chairs, making money quickly. But then when you understand the potential and the purpose that a digital asset can have and how it can truly enrich people's life, I found that fascinating as well. So after, as I said, a very long time at Facebook, I decided that it was time for a change and that I really, really wanted to get into the blockchain space. And that's how I eventually ended up at Coinbase. I've been here now for about, it's coming up to 3 years. And it's been a wild ride, to say the least. I've seen the end of a bull market, a very, very, very proper bear market. FTX is something I am happy to share traumas about at a later stage over drinks. But yeah, and now I initially joined in more of a marketing function. I have a very commercial background, and then evolved that into looking after the Nordics and the Benelux, which suits me well because that's where I'm from. Okay. So that's my career in a nutshell.
Awesome, thank you, very nicely put. And as we know, Coinbase has grown so much. Yeah. It's very international. Could you tell us a bit more about what locations you guys cover?
Yeah, of course. So for those of you that perhaps are a little bit less familiar with Coinbase, we're a global company, we're US based. We're one of the oldest players in the industry as well. We're about 12 years old and we're publicly listed, which happened in 2021 in April, I want to say. And we are a global crypto exchange. We like to think of ourselves as the safest and easiest place to be able to buy, sell, and trade crypto. But we're much more than just a trading platform, a company that's moving boxes around. We really like to think of ourselves as a one-stop shop for everything within the crypto economy. So we offer a very simple and easy-to-use interface for people who are just getting started in crypto. But we also have a very advanced interface for sophisticated traders. We offer a suite of services for the institutional side of the businesses, But we also have platforms available for developers, for creators, for builders. We have an NFT marketplace. And as a company, we are very, very focused on really changing and updating the financial system. We believe that crypto equals the future of money, and we're laser focused on getting there. So we are about 3,500 people worldwide, and we have operations across the world. The UK is one of our largest markets. It's actually the largest market outside of North America. I don't know how many people exactly we have based here, but I want to say close to 150. Ireland, Netherlands, Germany, obviously outside of the European Union as well. We have establishment in Singapore, for example, Australia. So we're a truly global company.
Yeah, and I know you've managed to launch into Europe as well in some places.
Yeah.
So just kind of thinking about Europe more broadly, like what are some of the obstacles that you think you've kind of had to overcome, like regulatory obstacles, anything really? Yeah.
So international expansion is incredibly important for a company like Coinbase, because sort of taking a step back, I will get back to the European point, but sort of taking a step back is sort of, let me get comfortable in this chair. I'm very tall, the chair is a bit low, but that's no criticism to the organization here. Taking a step back, 80% of global crypto trading happens outside of the US. So that creates a huge opportunity for players to grow their business. But secondly, and perhaps a lot more important, in order for us to achieve our mission, which is to increase economic freedom, we have to branch outside of just the US. Right now, obviously, use cases such as a store of value and trading are super, super well established, like crypto is here to stay. But there is so much more that crypto can truly unlock, and the technology itself is updating the financial system. When I think about sort of my own privilege, like being born and raised in the Netherlands as a woman, I have access to traditional financial services. And I don't want to generalize, but I assume that's very similar to most of us. But when you look at more developed markets, people don't have access to traditional banking. They can't afford the high fees. There is distrust in the centralized organizations that are controlling the system today still. And it's very much in those areas of the world where crypto has its truest potential of empowering, and driving true economic freedom. And the industry can only reach its true full potential when crypto reaches a truly global scale. So as an organization, we're very, very committed to international expansion. And therefore, of course, Europe as well. And Europe is in a very interesting place. It's a very dynamic continent. There's a lot of hyper-local players. So there's a lot of like exchanges, for example, in the Netherlands that are built by a Dutch team for the Dutch market, optimizing for the Netherlands. But there's also global players that are very active there as well. But what makes Europe up until, which we're going to get to in a second, up until MiCA, very complex is in order for us to operate proactively in some of these markets, you have to work with local regulators in order to get the right type of registrations and licensure in order to do so. So we have been working with regulators across the region in order to obtain those licenses to actually activate. But that is a lot of work. The regulatory requirements and frameworks in each of these jurisdictions look different. So there, up until now, isn't a one-size-that-sort-of-fits-all. And that makes expanding into a region like Europe quite complex and also very resource-heavy. But shall we move to MiCA or not?
Yeah? Let's go.
Okay, but things are obviously changing. The European Union is introducing a very, very comprehensive crypto regulatory framework, which is MiCA. Are folks familiar with MiCA here? I'd like to think so. Yeah? Okay. So for those of you that are less familiar, MiCA stands for the Markets in Crypto Assets Regulation. The R seems to have fallen off. No one says MiCAR anymore. MiCA has become sort of the working name for it. But basically what it allows players to do is once you have successfully obtained a license, you can now passport your business to all 27 member states, which is going to create a fantastic opportunity for people that have, or companies that have the ambition to operate within the European Union without the complexity of having to work and customize how a business is run and tailored at the individual market level.
So would you say that the guidance that the European Union regulators have put out there is quite clear when it comes to MiCA and implementing it?
Sorry.
It's okay.
By the way, this is a stand with crypto, which we can talk about as well, bottle of water. So in case anybody's thirsty later, these are on us. We are absolutely incredibly happy and excited about MiCA, because MiCA Europe is setting a truly golden standard for what comprehensive regulation looks like. It's the first of its kind. And it's in such stark contrast with a market like the US, where regulation is very much formed through enforcement, where in Europe, it has been formed in partnership and engagement with the industry to make sure that it's comprehensive enough to ensure investor protection, but that it doesn't stifle innovation. So I think Europe can be incredibly proud of what it's achieving by introducing MiCA. And what this clarity does is hopefully, and what we expect to see, is that there is going to be a lot more trust in this space on the retail side, but then also the institutional side. And again, trust will unlock clarity, unlocks trust unlocks confidence will then increase investment within this space. And hopefully that is going to be the flywheel to see really increased adoption of crypto.
Yeah, awesome. So since we are in the UK, let's move over there a little bit. So would you say that the UK is still an attractive place to do business despite, let's say, the lack of clarity around exactly where the country stands right now? Because we've got a new government, the Labour government is now in place. They haven't said too much about what their policies will be, aside from tokenization and supporting the digital pound. So how are you feeling about the UK right now?
Yeah. As I said, the UK is still one of our top priority markets. It's our largest market outside of the US. As I said, we have established decent sized operations here, and there is a really, really unique opportunity here in the UK. We really think that the UK is in a unique position to empower the first ecosystem in a digital and financial revolution that is going to drive significant innovation and therefore growth as well. So we are laser focused here in the UK in working with the regulators and the legislators in ensuring that we can start building products and continue to build products that are going to bring the next billion people on chain here. We are committed to ensuring that we're working very much in lockstep with the UK regulatory landscape to ensure that we're compliant and that we really prioritize consumer safety, trust, and privacy. So we very much believe that the UK is an incredible market where a lot of innovation can come from. And I think conferences like this are making that point as well. There's this incredibly vibrant ecosystem here of Web3 builders, and it is that community that is very much going to build the next set of use cases for the blockchain technology that is going to improve and change people's lives fundamentally. So the can of water that I just shared with you, the Stand with Crypto water, is a campaign that we've launched here in the UK. With the intent behind it is to really galvanize the communities that we're seeing here that believe in this technology. And demonstrating these use cases up and down the country to create a lot more voices and advocates for crypto. So we are absolutely bullish on the UK. So much greatness is going to come from this market. But you made a very good point as well. More regulatory clarity is still needed here. The UK has shown really impressive leadership and incredible first steps. An example of that is the financial promotional regime, which some of you might or might not be familiar with, a slightly older regime that already applied to traditional finance that has now been expanded to crypto asset service providers as well, which has been introduced, which very much has consumer protection at its heart. So some amazing steps have been done, but the UK very much has a second player advantage, and that isn't a bad thing at all. Nobody thinks about second player, I want to be first player, but actually the opportunity here in the UK is to look at what is happening in other jurisdictions, like in Europe, for example,
Yeah.
and take pages out of those frameworks and apply them here, see what has worked and hasn't worked. So that's a really long-winded way of saying that we are very, very bullish and excited about the UK.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I'm glad you talked about the financial promotions regime.
Yeah.
It has been a bit of a tough regime, I think, for some people, especially international players, because the promotion rules basically mean that if you're not registered in the country or approved by someone that is to campaign and to reach out to customers, that you can't reach out to those clients.
Yeah.
So what would you say it takes to sort of comply with like the UK now and the regulators here?
Yeah, I think you make a really good point on FinProm. FinProm is very comprehensive, and the definition of what a financial promotion is insanely broad. Like at the face value, you think of a financial promotion as an ad, buy crypto now, get rich, which we would never run anyways, then that's not true. But it's a lot more comprehensive than that. Anything that anybody can see in the UK that you as a company are putting out there is considered a financial promotion. So that means your website, your logged out website. That means your logged in app experience. That even includes your app store listing. It includes the more traditional components of what marketing really is. Your CRM, your engagement marketing tactics. It includes your paid marketing. Like everything needs to comply with FinProm. And what that means is that you have to adhere to very strict guidelines, and that means very clear risk disclaimers need to be in place across your product experience, etc. From an onboarding perspective, it means that you have to introduce a 24-hour cooling period for new users to make sure that they really know what they're getting into and feel confident with it before they can start actually buying and trading crypto. You have to implement things like the knowledge assessment quizzes, etc. So it's a heavy lift for players here to be compliant with FinProm. But again, it is the right thing to do because fundamentally what FinProm has, the financial promotional regime, keep on calling it FIN, it's got a nice nickname to it even though it's quite rigorous. It does have consumer protection at its heart, which is fundamentally what this industry needs in order to unlock skilled adoption.
Yeah. No, that's really...
It's very comprehensive. I can talk about FinProm literally for hours.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a fascinating journey. The UK has come a long way because there was a time where, the crypto market felt like they would have been blocked out completely if they didn't make adjustments. So fortunately, the UK did make adjustments to allow companies that are already registered to have access to the UK market. So there has been progress. But what is next on the agenda then for Coinbase when it comes to international expansion?
Yeah, so from an international expansion, we continue to be laser focused on working in markets where we believe there is an opportunity for crypto to grow and therefore our business to grow as well, to work hand in hand with regulators that are reasonable and help either shape regulation and or operate within the frameworks that they have. That looks very different in different places. But we're very focused also from a localization perspective because we're not offering a different version of Coinbase in different markets, but the cultural nuance and context is incredibly important, which is why it's a Dutch person running the Dutch market because I understand what is expected in certain markets. Like, let me give you an example. Like, how many of you here are familiar with Ideal? Two hands. That makes a ton of sense because why would you be familiar with that if you're not in the payment space or Dutch? Ideal is a Dutch payment method that everybody uses for everything all the time. If you don't offer Ideal, I mean, it ain't real. Which I try to explain to people in the US. They're like, yeah, but we've got open banking integrated. Like people can deposit with their debit cards. I'm like, that's not how it works. Ideal is the payment method of choice. And you need to have a local voice, somebody that understands that, to be working with the product teams to ensure that those payment methods are integrated so that the product feels real and local. So on the face value, the product might feel the same in most markets. It actually isn't. It is being adjusted. So we're laser focused on ensuring that products are localized in the right way. So that is from an experience perspective, but also from a language perspective, especially when you're dealing initially with, I guess, fiat money and then digital assets. it needs to feel local. When things are poorly translated, like, I mean, it just doesn't feel right. Like when you have an issue with your bank or whoever it is that you're dealing with when it comes to finance, you want to call their customer support and speak to them in your own language. So localization in the very traditional sense of translation is incredibly important as well. So we're hyper focused, we're very focused on ensuring that we build the right product for the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's so interesting. So are you saying that the key to building the right product is hiring people that have an awareness of the retail users in these regions? Like what would you say that should look like?
I think that is right. I think that is a challenge that any business has when it comes to international expansion. It's like you might have the ambition to be dominating 10 different markets, but you need to have people that understand that local context that is required in order to build products and services that people actually want to use or can use in the way that they're used to it. So having at least some level of local knowledge within an organization is important.
Okay, that's interesting. And what's the best way to sort of make sure you're getting the best access to talent then in different regions that you may not be familiar with if you are an international company, I guess? Yeah,
well, I'm sure that there's a large recruiting base here today as well. I think it all starts probably with your own network as well. Like there are, especially within the crypto space, there are these vibrant communities everywhere. And it's places like these where they come together, but it's very often a little, it's often not, it can be very different. To sort of give you an example, and I'll come back to like how you then get started. I was in Amsterdam yesterday. It was Bitcoin Amsterdam. I don't know if anybody else attended as well, but like a Bitcoin Maxi conference, quite hardcore. And the people that you meet at the conference were very different than I met the night before, where I was invited to a very intimate event at somebody's house where there was a conversation around Bitcoin and sustainability. And at that particular event, I actually ended up meeting a much older group of people that did a lot more traditional investing, that were very focused on sustainability, but that were really keen on learning and understanding more about this space. Those people are not attending Bitcoin Amsterdam, I can guarantee you that. So you have communities that are learning and educating themselves around crypto and blockchain technology, Web3, in their own and different ways. So I think when it comes to attracting talent, it is trying to find the right type of communities based on the type of experience and value that you're looking for to initially start sourcing talent. In addition, obviously, to working with probably sophisticated partners from a recruiting perspective that have a good footprint there within the industry that you're looking to hire at.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
What else would you say are your golden nuggets then for companies looking to have a global footprint?
Well, at Coinbase, we really like to believe, and we actually have always done so, that compliance is very much key to build trust in and for crypto, if we're just keeping this to like the crypto conversation. So understanding what the regulatory environment looks like, what being compliant truly means, is incredibly important. And having that up forefront is something that we believe all organizations should prioritize. And very often, when we talk about regulation, people instantly think it stifles innovation, but that doesn't have to by default be true. Like I think especially when you're a lot earlier on in your journey as an organization, like being compliant and prioritizing compliance can be a massive differentiator because you're building products that people will feel safe to use, but it will also attract probably VC investment because you're an organization that takes compliance incredibly serious. So flipping sort of the perspective on what regulation means and what you can and can't do without it is important. It can be a catalyst of growth. So keeping that forefront and understanding that and investing in that knowledge is probably another really important component of expanding.
Okay, awesome. Do you have time for one more question? Yeah, okay.
One more question. Oh my God, how did we get to... Earlier we were saying we're never going to fill 30 minutes, but I was wrong. I know myself poorly, as you can tell. Keep on nattering.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously you had an extensive background, Facebook, TomTom, Skype. So innovation is expanding, AI is now happening as well. Do you see Coinbase stepping into these new frontier technologies, expanding?
I can't really answer that specifically because we're a publicly listed company or not, but I can talk about things that we are excited about.
Yeah.
So we're obviously very excited about layer 2s. We've seen them being incredibly impactful, and we believe that this is really going to unlock the increased adoption of this space by being able to bring builders and developers on chain, and therefore basically unlock bringing the next billion people on chain. We actually launched our own Ethereum layer 2 base. I want to say it was August of last year, and we've seen incredible adoption of that, which we're obviously super excited about. We're also excited about L2s like the Lightning Network. We've worked with Lightspark to integrate that as well, being able to reduce transaction time and reduce cost. It's been absolutely fascinating. If you haven't used Lightning yourself, it's fire. It is absolute fire. And sort of seeing and embracing these layer 2s, not just us, but I think the ecosystem is incredible. Like, that's what we're going to see a lot of innovation coming from. Stable coins, I'm super excited about stable coins. They bring real world utility, especially in markets where people are dealing with like proper inflation. Think about Madagascar or Argentina. Like, stable coins truly provide like a safe haven, and we're very excited to see global payment players like Stripe and PayPal embracing stable coins as well. If you are a merchant on Stripe now, you can basically accept USDC on Polygon, Ethereum, and Solana. That instantly transfers to fiat. Massive. This PayPal is now allowing stablecoin transactions to over 160 countries with no fees. And that's such a stark contrast with like the 4 to 6% in fees that you would normally encounter. So we're super excited as well about seeing sort of like the adoption of this space in the more, I don't know, Web2 traditional players that are going to really increase adoption across the board. So excited about that. Obviously the ETF approvals were massive. Like, what a seal of approval, landmark moment here. Going to change the space. I can't predict the future, obviously, but especially on the financial side, the markets. So there's a lot of exciting things happening.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you for the questions. Yeah. It was lovely having a conversation.
Yeah.
And
And thank you guys.
Thank you for being here and listening.